Tahina Pow Pow. She hacked Caitlin Clark. Her arm is like being grabbed by Tahina Pow Pow, and she does take it off.
And then when the refs don't call the bear hug,
one of the worst missed calls I think I've ever seen in basketball.
This is another year and another case of WNBA referees not making the right calls when it comes to Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA is physical, and she just needs to get over it.
A newly released video is making serious headlines and stirring up a lot of attention.
Let's watch the play here.
Deciding to reset things.
As you can see, she dribbles over to the wing, pushes off a little bit, and hits that three. Now, if you slow things down and if you actually go frame by frame, you can see that Pow Pow had two hands on Caitlin. It wasn't just a one-hand hand check. She was kind of grabbing her with two hands.
Caitlin Clark was clearly targeted by players from the Atlanta Dream, and with clear footage showing both a double jersey pull and a blatant body check. It's surprising the officials didn't call anything.
This is some of the worst refereeing I've ever seen to not call a defensive foul here. Like, this is not just a hand check. This is a double jersey grab.
WNBA referees that's making it so damn hard for them to make the right calls at the right moment.
Fans are furious. But what's really surprising is how online discussions are blaming Caitlin Clark, instead of focusing on what actually happened.
She's going up against Pow Pow, and she does a step back three, she hits it, but the internet is going wild for this because they are complaining about her pushing off with her left arm.
If you believe Caitlin Clark has truly earned her respect on the hardwood,
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
And deserves consistent calls and fair play, drop a full 100% in the comments to show your support. Let's break down the footage everyone's talking about.
On it back. Now watch this. Now this is it right here.
Let's take a closer look at this viral moment for all the right reasons. During a preseason matchup with the Atlanta Dream, Caitlin Clark was defending Tahina Pow Pow. And what unfolded wasn't simply strong defense, it was targeted physical play. As Clark made a move, footage captures Pow Pow clutching her jersey with both hands.
Pow Pow is on her. Pow Pow grabs her hip. You see here. So Caitlin's trying to blow by Tahina Pow Pow. Like, Tahina Pow Pow is not a good enough defender to play flat like this. Two hands on Caitlin Clark's jersey. Then she goes around the hip. Caitlin shoots from so far back. Oh my God.
Pow Pow wasn't even set properly on defense. She was off balance, flat on her feet, and already beaten. So she resorted to pulling Clark's hip, grabbing her jersey and using both arms to hold her back. This wasn't a soft foul. It was an obvious one. A veteran-style move to stop a drive she couldn't cover. Yet somehow, the officials stayed silent.
It's not an offensive foul, and if it's an offensive foul, the offensive foul comes way after the defensive foul. Even if it wasn't for the hand, I don't think that that's enough of a push-off to call an offensive foul, especially when the defensive player is off balance.
When Clark worked to free herself, she barely used her arm, and somehow, that tiny action led to her being called for an offensive foul. Really?
This happens a lot. There's a lot of times that guards are working the defenders off of them, especially if a defender has a hand on their side, on their jersey, on their arm, anything. You are allowed to kind of swipe and get the defenders off of you.
Watching the replay in slow motion, it's clear Clark had already passed Pow Pow before even flicking her arm. She was ahead in motion and going straight to the hoop when Pow Pow grabbed her. And yet, the call still went. Against Caitlin. Unbelievable.
Caitlin is past Tahina Pow Pow here. Tahina Pow Pow is stopping her with her arms. Her arms like this on the jersey, stopping her. There is an arm extension. Because she's in such bad defensive position, is already, look at her where her feet is before the contact. She's throwing herself out of the play anyway.
Let's be real. Did Caitlin Clark make some contact? Absolutely. But let's not pretend elite guards don't use minor contact to create space. The problem is, when Clark does it, suddenly it's a scandal. Pow Pow's exaggerated reaction just made it look worse. That was selling it, not solid defense. And this wasn't just once. Clark got held, shoved, and grabbed all game, yet never got a call.
Caitlin Clark's statue, in order for them to gain separation, they kind of stick their forearm out there because they're getting bear hugged. The other defensive player won't let them cut across to the lane.
It's hard to watch this footage without feeling like this was more than just physical play. This was outright targeting. And the refs let it go. The evidence is clear. Fans have been raising concerns for months, and now the broader public is starting to notice. Caitlin Clark is being treated differently. Let's not sugarcoat it. It's bias. And what followed? That's where it got worse. Once that clip of the Pow Pow sequence hit the web, social media exploded. And instead of blaming Pow Pow, people started piling on Clark.
Caitlin Clark, her arm is like being grabbed by Tina Pow Pow, and she does take it off.
She's trying to gain separation to shoot a three.
But I've never, like, this is some of the worst refereeing I've ever seen to not call a defensive foul here. This is a vet move by Pow Pow. I have to say, this is a vet move by Pow Pow.
Exactly. Caitlin Clark got the brunt of the backlash. The comments were filled with takes about how she always pushes off, flops constantly, or can't play clean. Are we even watching the same game? She was grabbed around the waist, thrown off balance, and blocked mid-drive. But just because she used a tiny arm motion to get loose, now she's seen as the villain. That's what the online narrative has turned into.
She's going up against Pow Pow and she does a step back three, she hits it, but the internet is going wild for this because they are complaining about her pushing off with her left arm.
Here's what really hurts. These are the same voices who said last season that Caitlin needed to toughen up and get used to the physicality of the W. But now that she's responding, fighting through contact, and using space the way great guards do, she's being called dirty. Last year, she was getting knocked down and bullied out of plays, and the take was, she's too soft. Now that she fights back, suddenly it's a red flag.
It is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger.
Caitlin has always been an underrated athlete. She's the fastest player in the league to me with the ball in her hands, and she was the best guard finishing around the rim last year. She shot a bunch of it, and it's been the whole preseason where it looks to me like on her deepest shots, she is just getting them off like they're nothing, like they're routine, because nobody else is shooting from this distance regularly, and she's doing it with a flick of the wrist. How easily it looks like she's shooting those threes and hitting those threes in the clip that she's doing it, you know, going to the rack, all these various things that show she's even stronger than she was a year ago. And you see it in the strong numbers. I mean, 13 points, 6 boards, 7 assists in 23 minutes of action.
This is one of the clearest double standards we've seen. When other stars throw elbows, fight for position, or play hard-nosed, it's labeled as grit and passion. But when Caitlin uses similar moves, even a simple arm push, it turns into controversy. This isn't about fouls. It's about controlling how the story is told. Clark is the biggest attraction in the league. She brings the fans, the press, the buzz, and that spotlight makes her a target. If this had happened to someone like Sabrina Ionescu or Kelsey Plum, the conversation would be about a missed foul, not attacking the player. The truth? Clark draws the most contact and still isn't getting the calls. In her last 2 games, just 1 foul drawn total, even with non-stop hits. This isn't an isolated case. It's a trend.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT!
She signed my jersey! I'm so happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
There's an obvious hesitation to let Caitlin Clark just play her style without the nitpicking, constant criticism, or the hard hits she's taking. The kind of stuff every top player faces, yet it never dominates. Headlines for them. So what does all this add up to? It's bigger than Caitlin. It affects the entire Indiana Fever squad, and it highlights how the WNBA handles its most prominent star. This isn't about one moment. It's about a recurring issue, a pattern of targeting, and a league still figuring out how to treat its biggest name with fairness and consistency. Make no mistake, Clark isn't just an impressive rookie. She's the face of the sport now.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
She's filling stadiums, breaking TV viewership records, and bringing national buzz the WNBA hasn't seen in ages. But that kind of spotlight has a downside. For Caitlin Clark, it's meant rough physical play, non-stop scrutiny, and almost no protection from the officials. Just take her performance against the Atlanta Dream. Players hanging on to her, clear fouls missed, and yet she kept her cool the whole game.
The WNBA referees are terrible. The one-sided calls against Caitlin are so obvious and disgusting. They're ruining the game. If the referees do not get this whole situation together with this Caitlin Clark thing, fans is finna stop watching this sport.
She didn't react angrily, didn't argue. She just stayed focused and kept playing, drilling tough buckets, including that cold-blooded step-back three under pressure. That's more than skill. It's serious mental toughness, and she rarely gets credit for it. But here's the concern. If this keeps happening, how long can one athlete take the pressure of lifting a league, absorbing the hits, and handling all the backlash without it taking a toll? The WNBA wants Caitlin Clark at the forefront.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. Just so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin Clark.
It is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger,
yet refuses to give her the same level of respect, security, or whistle consistency that veteran stars often get. That's not how you build something lasting. And what about the Indiana Fever? They're still developing chemistry and finding identity. Clark is clearly their centerpiece, but even the most powerful engines can wear down without proper support. Her preseason stats speak volumes: 14.5 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists per game, while shooting over 52% overall and 50% from 3. That's not just promise, it's top-tier performance. And those numbers could be even higher if she wasn't taking contact all over the floor without calls. Missed whistles slow her tempo, limit her ability to create, and throw off the team's flow. Bigger picture. What kind of example is this setting for young players watching? Clark came in as a generational talent with huge support.
She is highly likable. I think that lends itself to her popularity as she comes across as somebody that's really just respectful, likable. There's other players out there that just don't come across that way.
And if she's being pushed around and criticized just for doing her job, what message does that send future stars? That standing out means you'll be isolated? The league's at a crossroads. Either defend the players bringing in fans and ratings, or risk losing them. Because right now, it feels like Caitlin Clark is being punished for her greatness, her visibility, and for not fitting a preferred mold. And we can't ignore it. Race and bias absolutely play a role. It's uncomfortable for some, but necessary to address. When black athletes play with physicality, they're celebrated for being strong. When Clark brings the same edge, she's labeled reckless or too emotional. That contradiction has to be called out. The league needs to deal with it, head on. Even so, if we know one thing, it's that Caitlin Clark doesn't back down under pressure.
A fan took this iPhone footage of the Indiana Fever doing a workout after that game against the Atlanta Dream. And it was Caitlin, it was Brianna Turner, Jaylen Brown, and Natasha Howard. They were working out in the hallway and just doing some simple lifting. And then also you can see here Sophie Cunningham comes out of the locker room and she is wearing a boot.
She stays composed, adjusts her game, and keeps excelling. She fights through chaos with resilience, poise, and clutch confidence. Even when she's absorbing hits from defenders, criticism from media, and missed calls from refs, she stays focused. So yes, the footage proves she was targeted.
See that? Do the step back? She had to step back because she knew she didn't have any area here. See, this is the photo that went viral.
But it also shows something bigger. She keeps grinding, keeps delivering, and keeps raising the bar. The proof is right in front of us. Caitlin Clark isn't just dealing with opponents, she's enduring targeting. And still, she's hitting big shots, leading her team, and staying locked in. That's not just good, that's elite.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from 3. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from 3-point range.
But this conversation can't stop here. If you believe Caitlin Clark deserves the same fairness and respect every elite player gets, drop a 100% in the comments right now. Let's flood the feed and show that her impact and voice count. If you're just finding this page, subscribe to Basketball Prime Stories. We bring the truth, and we support the players pushing the game forward. Tap that like if you stand with Caitlin Clark, and we'll see you next time.